Is being recorded.
Okay, so can everybody hear me pretty well? That's the main thing. I'm going to start with that. I'm actually going to turn off the radio. That might be annoying after a while, huh? Hear this noise in the background. There we go. All right. So we are set. Just want to make sure that everyone has signed into the sidebar chat. Make sure you've got your name in there. And I am going to stop sharing for just a minute. I'm going to mute everyone. Please don't get offended. It's not that I don't want to hear you. This is just going to keep some of that background noise on the side there. Okay, so background noise out of the way. So today we are here for Google Classroom 3. I'm going to share my materials. First thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the link to the materials in the sidebar so you have it. And then you can grab it and then we'll work from there. I'm actually working from a document today, not a slide presentation. So it's a little different. So good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Bond, Virginia Bond, and I'm an ISS Integration of Technology Training Specialist with NARIC. We have some new people in the house that I've never seen before. Lots of you are returners. And so we are going to kind of work through some of the bigger pieces within Google Classroom today. So I'm assuming that most of you have used it in the past, and I'm going back and forth because I have two screens and my laptop with my cameras right in the middle. So it's not that I'm antisocial. I'm so social, it's scary, but I need to get where I'm going over here. All right, so this is the document we're going to use today. You are my, by the way, congratulations, you are my 100th training. Woo-hoo! I know, it's like 100th day, right? Yes, right? The big old 100th training of the year. So the goal today, I kind of broke it into some big pieces. We're going to talk about engaging parents, student collaboration, customizing a little bit, and then just some best practices of things that work. I am going to kind of come in and out of the mute, so you'll have chances to ask questions. Those of you who've been in one of my sessions before, feel free to pop a question into the chat. I'm pretty good about seeing it, or I'll just stop what I'm doing and go answer your question. I tried to figure out what are some of the biggest questions that I get all the time about Classroom, and trust me, they come all the time. And I don't always have all the answers. I know that's shocking to some, but as a trainer, the way we do this is a little different because I'm always on the admin side of it, kind of looking in. I may be a co-teacher in a classroom, but I'm not always teaching and not always popping in, seeing some of the issues that may happen to you. So those are some of the things, these are the things that I see that come up that I try to deal with. Pretty much, I like to say I run roughshod. So you may have issues that I've never heard of, but here's some of the issues that I've seen, and that can kind of help in the process. So I'm also going to open up my classroom. I'm going to open up a classroom, not mine. So I have multiples. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to look at my NARIC ones. So I'm going to pull over. I'm just going to do a really quick review. I know that most people know this, but I want to talk through this really quickly. The ones that you see right in here are the ones that I'm currently teaching. So any of the classes that I'm currently in right now that I'm teaching, I may be a student in, or I may not have joined. So if you have a circle on it, so these are classes right here that I'm teaching. They have like an arrow up. These classrooms with a circle or the avatar are classrooms that I'm actually a student in. So it's a really easy way to tell. This one I haven't joined, but the minute that I join it, I'm going to be a student in it because it has a circle, it has like an avatar, someone else's avatar on it besides my own. So you can see the difference. Now, these are not all the classrooms I've ever had because I have over here in my hamburger, I have my list of my archived classes. And you can see that when I come in here, and I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit, I have lots of archived classes. So you don't ever really delete a Google Classroom. You can go through the whole process, but it does defeat some of the reasoning because in Google Classroom, you want to be able to pull old assignments through. So I can actually use reuse posts from old archived classes, which is fantastic. So if you're a science teacher or an elementary teacher who's using it for math and science and different things along the way, you may have different classrooms from all of those things. You may archive last year's class, but still want to pull an assignment through from that class. And that's really valuable because it's going to save you time and things you may not, so you don't have to recreate the beast all over again. The other things too is we can always push assignments out to multiple classrooms at a time. That's also highly valuable. So if I take this one right here, this is a class that I work in all the time, and I decide that I'm going to push out an assignment today. Some of you already know this. I just want to review this because I think this is a big time saver. This is 414 today. Okay, really exciting thing. Welcome to the jungle. Okay, so crazy. We're just going to add, I'm going to quickly add something from my Google Drive. I'm going to upload it and then I'm going to push it out and I'm going to assign it to multiple classrooms at one time. Ooh, I probably shouldn't send out my passwords, huh? Let's do. Oh, let's send this book. That's a book right there that I happen to find. So I can take this and I can assign it to all the classrooms all at once. So if you're trying to push things to your students, that's a huge time saver because I don't have to assign, I don't have to go in classroom 1 and assign, classroom 2 and assign, classroom 3. Now, I can't schedule the same way. I can assign it to all the classrooms, but I can't schedule to all the classrooms. So I could schedule to that first class, but what if in this class I wanted to reuse a post and I wanted to actually use that same thing, but maybe schedule it back, right? So I could come into this here and I could edit it, right? I can edit it. Can you schedule backwards? This is the question I get asked all the time. No, you can't schedule backwards. So if I had something I wanted to use today, but I didn't want to use it until tomorrow for a different class, I could assign it to my first class. I could go into my second class, reuse the post, and schedule it. Does that all make sense? Okay, I see heads. Okay, there you go. Yeah, vertical nods are great. Awesome. Look at that. Yay. Awesome. So that's kind of the beginning. I always like to go over that just so people understand. All right, perfect. So let's talk about parents. Let's start here. So when I want to work with parents and I want them in my classroom, I actually have to invite them. So it's not like an automatic thing. Some districts do push them out in automatically, but it's pretty rare we see that happen. You can create a connection between your student information system and your Google account. You can link those two things together and they can make that happen. So here's a few things. Well, I can't invite guardians. So let me go out here. I'm going to save this. I'm going to go out and I'm going to look at my people. I'm going to look at my people. I don't think I have any people in this class. I got to go to a class that have people. Here we go. Here's my people right here. I have people, and you can see I have guardians. I have the ability to invite guardians or to email all guardians. So I'm going to invite for this class, and I'm going to become the guardian for Sarah. I think, quite honestly, I'm probably going to, by the end of this entire thing, I'm going to be the guardian for a lot of my classmates, right? So I've invited. You saw what I did. I click on it, and I type in a name. Okay, Virginia Bond. Okay, that's all I do. As soon as I type it up, it pops up. Now it pops up because I have already typed that name in there. So in most cases, you have to invite guardians in. So here's a trick. You must be on a laptop or a Chromebook or a Mac. You cannot do this from the Classroom app on your phone. So if you're using the Classroom app on your phone, you can't do it from your phone. You have to be in a web browser or the Android app. So that's the Chromebook, okay? It wants a full hard connection is basically what it's asking for. So these next two steps right in here, where do you get those parent emails? You magically grab them out of the fairy dust. No, Adrian, I'm just being a smart aleck. Hopefully you have them. So that becomes the trick. So some kind of repository to pull them in. They are in School Tool. Oh, that is a good one. So your district isn't collecting them. So that becomes a whole nother problem. If your district doesn't collect them in School Tool, you got to figure out a way to get them. So that becomes a harder issue. You know, one of the things we've realized through this is some of the holes we have in communication. You're not the only person that has asked me that question. Sometimes we don't have the data we need in one place. What I would do is I would send out an email to my students, not an email, a form, and have their parents fill it out. So that might be one way so you could get their email accounts. So I'm going to come back to that, Diane, because I saw it really fast. It said, can you, and I didn't see the whole thing. Let me finish this one. Your Google admin must verify that you're a teacher. So like if you're a TA and you create a class, you may not have the ability to turn on guardianship yet. And it has to be turned on at the Google admin level. So this GD does not mean what we typically think GD means. It means Google domain admin. So whoever that person is in your district. Sometimes it's a NARIC person if you're down in the CRB schools, and sometimes it's a tech person. It's rarely a teacher, but they have the ability to turn this on. So just inviting parents, you saw what I did. I just clicked on it. I clicked on it to get it into it. Excuse me. And any email works. They don't have to have a Google email. So this comes with a little bit of caveat, okay? And I'm going to go into the caveat right now, just so you know. So in this document, you're going to have this one as well. So this is taken from Google Support. So this may be a document if it were me and I was you. I'm not, and I'm not telling you what to do. I might download this bad boy, save it, keep it for yourself. So students, parents can change it. This is how they can manage it. So this is important right in here, and I'm going to enlarge it, this second section. So if you have a Google account, so if they have a Google email that they've added in as their guardian email, they can stay connected and they can set the frequency of emails and they can pick their time zone. So basically they can say, oh, I want it every day. I want it 3 days a week. I want it just once a week. If they don't have a Google account, say they use a Yahoo account or a Hotmail account, they get weekly emails and that's it. They cannot change settings. So that's important because people are like, well, I got my stuff every day. And other people are like, I'm only getting it once a week. That's why, okay? Because they're only, if they have a non-Google account, they're only going to get weekly summaries. So hopefully that may kind of clear up some of those things. And if you are looking to, if parents are looking to get a Gmail account, they don't know how to do it, like shoot me an email. I have like a one-sheeter that walks parents through that process. It's very parent friendly. I've created it for other parents. So that's something you can have. So this also kind of walks through some of those other pieces, right? For parents. That's a really nice little tidbit to maybe say I'm inviting you into the Google Classroom and here's a Google FAQ, you know, a Guardian FAQ for you that can be very helpful to use. So once teachers or once parents and guardians are receiving emails, they're going to get that missing work. So they can pick daily or weekly. So they can only pick daily if they have a Google account. They can't pick it if they have like a Yahoo account or a Hotmail and all those other things. So here's the email summary. So I'm going to click on this so you can actually see what it looks like. So if you have never gotten one of these, and this is not perfect, this is literally a screenshot from Google. This is what the summary looks like. So if you have, say my name was in there, Virginia Bond, and I already had a guardian attached to me from another classroom, they're going to get everybody's summaries. So you see, this is one student. This is what they're missing next week, and this is what is due next week, or missing last week and due this week. Next week, I'll get there eventually. It has the name of the class on top and the information in here. So you see, here's the activity. So this is last week. In this class, this is the name of the teacher. here was the assignments when they were due and the pieces, right? So you can see, and this gave me all kinds of problems. So I found a hack through. I could not get the full screenshot. So if you notice what I did, I clicked on the crop and then I could see everything. So you can see all the other pieces. So this student is 1, 2, 3 in 3 Google Classrooms. The minute that American history, or excuse me, American literature gets this, American literature gets the email, gets the Guardian put in, they will have access to anyone else who has guardianship turned on. So let's see what that looks like. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to pop out right after this one and do a couple questions. Got to go to my other classroom. It's weird that it toggled out. I think I opened a different window. So in here, and I go to my people, right? This is where my guardians sit. And I come over here into my settings. So when I talked about turning it on, I'm going to come down into right here to general. So guardian summaries sit here. If I look, see example, I think someone just asked me about, there's the example of what it looks like. This is a weekly summary, by the way, not a daily summary. I find that a lot of parents find the daily summaries to be a little bit much, unless it may be a lot of email coming at them. So most of them will opt for the weekly. So those are some things you can talk to your parents about. I want to toggle back out for a minute. This is new in case you have not seen it right here. So in here, this happened in just the last week. So you now can create a Meet link right out of your Google Classroom. This has to be turned on at your domain level. You may not have access to it yet. It's on a 3-week rollout. So we're about a week and a half into it. So everything at Google takes a 3-week rollout. This was on a pretty hard push to get done quicker. So if I generate a Meet link, it looks like this. There's the link, and I can make it visible to students. I can also make it invisible to students. So that would take away their ability to copy to save it. That's kind of important. If you're going to use this, I would highly recommend that you unclick that box so they can't see it. The issue has been with Google Meet, kids have been saving the link information and popping back in. That one little click stops that from happening, okay? They can't do that. So all you would do is you would copy this. I would go out, open a new tab, push it, and you can put the link right into your settings, this card, right? And I can put it right in here on my classwork. So I can create it, and I'm going to do an assignment, or I can put it in my stream. So it's either way you want to do this. I probably would put these into my stream right here so the kids can see it. It's a little easier to find, right? You're going to put it out. And then when I was all done with it with the class, what I would do, so I would post this, it'd be all set. When I was done with it, I would come in and I would delete it as soon as I was done with it. So that there was no option for the students to have the ability to get back to it. So that's just a little bit of the new functionality within Classroom. And those things are changing all the time. So if we've learned anything in the last couple of weeks, is that we have to be flexible because everything's kind of changing as we fly with it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute just so I can read some of the questions that are in there. So can you edit the announcement or classwork for all classes at once after you post it to several classrooms? No. So that's really important. Well, let me take that back, Diane. It's a hard maybe. Okay. It's a hard maybe. I can go into each classroom, but I can't, once I have the paper here, I'm going to try to explain it this way. I have the paper here and I push it to my classrooms for them to see. I can't be in 4 places at once. I guess that's a good way to say it like that. I'd have to go into this class and edit this and this one and edit it and that one and edit it. The one that I can never do is once I push it out, if I haven't made a copy for every student, I can't change that. That can never occur. That's not going to be an option. Okay. Is a summary a default for parents that have Google accounts? No, actually, that's a summary for that's a weekly summary that you saw. That's a good question, Carolyn. Okay. If working with other teachers, can you push out to their students too? If working with other teachers, can you push out to their students too? If you're a co-teacher in the classroom, Cherish, yes, you can. Sorry, I had to process that one in my head a little bit. All right, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to share again. Good questions. Keep them coming. They are as valuable to me as they are to you. I kind of get your thinking process, and that helps me kind of see where I'm going. Okay, so we saw email summaries. All right, so why don't I see the option to invite? So I'm going to make this bold just so you can see it. Okay, you may not see it for the following reasons. You're not a verified teacher. That could be part of the problem. Okay, so basically you're not in the right domain. This happens more with TAs. Quite honestly, I doubt it's going to happen this time of year. Most of you have been verified as teachers, so that's not going to be a problem. You don't have permissions to invite guardians, as in they weren't granted to you by the Google Domain Administrator. So that's not anything to do with you. That has to do with the Google Domain Admin. They've turned off your guardian emails, and I'm going to change this. I don't want it to sound like it's your high school, it's your principal, okay? So GD means Google Domain. Your Google Domain Administrator turned off the guardian email summaries. Sometimes it does happen. No, I can't even imagine right now that anyone would have them off, because communication is such a hard thing for us to have with our kids. We want to be in communications as much as possible. So getting our guardians in is super important. Oh, you're using the classroom app. So that's the other one. So if you're on the app on your phone, it's not going to work. So those are the ones, the main ones. So this link right here is probably going to be the best 6 minutes you've ever had in your whole life. Just kidding. But that video right there, I'm not going to play the whole thing, is by Mr. Vaca, and they are local to the CRB region. This is a very, very good, it's funny that it's toilet paper. Is a very good, I lied, this is a 30, I don't know how long this one is. I would tell you right now, but I gotta have to play it. It is super great to have with parents, just kind of walks them through the process. 244, it's gonna walk through email summaries for students, okay? It's gonna walk a parent through it. I think it's very valuable. There's another one out there that's really good. It's a 6-minute one. It's a great one, but it's old. So it's got an older feel to it. This one was published just a few weeks ago. It's valuable to have because it's the latest and greatest. When you're looking for videos for Google Classroom, you really want to keep them within the last 3 months. So sometimes they're hard to find. This is a great one, and it's 2 minutes. So you could just grab the, address, could share it there, or grab it here, share it, and share it with parents and say, like, this is a quick summary for you to kind of walk them through. That could be very valuable. Okay, so that is parents pretty much. We did all the parent pieces. All right, let's go to student collaboration. So when we talk about student collaboration, one of the things I like to do, I'm going to just move a few things around a little bit because I'm getting lost underneath my tab there. I like to use a template to differentiate. So let me show you what I mean when I say that, because some people get a little lost. So I'm actually going to make a new one really quickly. This is going to be the big, bad, and the ugly, just so you know. And I'm just going to call this a pet project. You know what? I lied to you. Not purposely. I like you enough. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just going to go grab something I've already done. It's going to make my life a little easier. So those of you that get lost in your stuff, because it happens, right? I know where I'm going, so I'm going into this folder right here, and I'm going to grab this project right here. It's called a pet project template, and I'm just going to make a copy. So pretty simple, this kind of basic navigating through what I'm looking for. It's right here. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to move it. I know where I'm moving it to. I'm going to move it to a folder, and then I'm going to populate it into my classroom. I'm going to pull it out of 96. I'm going to put it into 100. It's all good to go. So now it's right back where I want it. So sometimes I'm kind of used to that. I do it all the time. You get better at that the more you do it. It's actually easier because I have so many folders. It's easier to right click and navigate where I want to put it than it is to click and drag it where I want to put it, because it gets too out of control. Like I said, I have 115 folders in that training folder right now. I don't want to move them all around and try to find it. So the right click is really your best friend. So I'm going to come into this. This is called just a pet project, and I'm going to open it up now. So this is a copy of my pet project template. Okay. So this is, I call it a pet project because it's a personal exploration of topics. Okay. So this is a way to kind of get your students to do some independent research or to collaborate. We're going to actually use this as a collaboration project right now. So you can see I have some ideas, and what I did is created this template for kids to use. They would come in. The blue bubbles that I've created are kind of the direction options. All right. So they can run from here. They can totally customize this however they want. So this is my pet project template, and I'm going to go back out to my folder. I am going to make a copy of this. So I'm going to make a copy. So this is going to make sense in a minute, and I'm going to call it Pet 1, and then I'm going to call it Pet 2. I'm going to make 2 of them, and I'm just going to rename to Pet 1, okay? And then I'm going to make another one just like it. I'm going to copy it again, make a copy, and I'm going to call it Pet 2, because I'm going to push those out to my students, and I'm going to customize them. I am going to differentiate the instruction by the groups I have. I'm also going to rename this Pet 2. So instead of just names, I'm going to actually change one page on each one, because it's going to help me differentiate the group that I'm working with. So Pet 1 is right here, and I'm going to change page 1. I'm going to make the background a different color. So I've had a lot of people ask me why. So if I was doing this with a lot of groups, it's hard to know which group I'm working with just by sight. So I'm going to put a color on just this page, background, and I'm going to just change the color to orange. Add to, no, undo. That was bad. No, cancel. Yeah, that'll work. They can change it however they want. I don't typically do that. So sometimes I make stupid mistakes myself, and I'll do this one too. I'm going to do Pet 1. I usually just add it to the first page. So it is easier to find if I do it to all of them. Bad human. Okay, I'm going to do background, and I'm going to make this one blue. Okay, I'm not going to add it to the theme this way. All right, all done. So now I have 2 themes all done, and I'm going to push out classwork. I'm going to create this assignment, and I'm going to do a student collab project. I'm going to go back here and actually put a date in because I want my students to be able to find it. 4/14. And I'm going to call it blue. So this is going to be my blue team. I'm going to put directions in here right now. I'm not. Please don't use blah, blah, or yada, yada, yada. Put in real directions. That makes sense. Most of you know that. And I'm going to go to my Google Drive. So because I just worked on it, it's going to pop right up into my, it should pop right up in here, not in yesterday. Anybody find Google is a little slow on the upkeep lately? Little slow. Okay. Oh, I know why. I'm in my wrong account. I can't do it in here. So I created that in this account. All right. Well, yeah. I'm in my personal account training on it. Okay, I'll make it work. Forget that. Okay, I'm coming back. I'm working in 2 different accounts, so just to make your head spin. Come in here. I'm going to push this out. So I don't have many kids in here, so this is going to be tough. I'm going to add classwork, create, assignment. Should have thought that through before, Virginia, but you did not. Doofy, student pet blue. Okay, we're going to add it. Google Drive. There's my recent. It's going to pop up. I'm going to push out my blue, and it is here somewhere. Maybe. Student pet blue. Come on, my friend. There's the classroom folder. There it is. All right. So then I would push it out right here, and I can push this way. So the question was, can I push the full? I'll show you. Yeah. Yes, there is. So I'm going to, there is, but yes and no. So I only have 1 student in this classroom. So, and it's me. So, but if I had more, I could assign the next one students pet orange, and I could assign 3 kids to it. So that's a way to do that collaboration. So I think the question that someone just asked me was, hold on, let me look. Is there a way to make folders within Google Slides and Forms? Is there a way to make folders within Google Slides and Google Forms? Folders within, no. I'm not sure I understand that question, Diane, but I'll come back to it, okay? So in here, the thing that I want to make sure is you're making sure you're pushing it out to students can edit. More than one student's on a file, we want them all to edit the same file. So if we're collaborating, we're editing one file together. So people kind of get lost in this process, right? This is what I call the 2.5 level. So 1 is students can view, 2 is students can edit, 3 is make a copy for each. I'm giving you a 2.5 right in the middle of the split there. I'm having multiple students come to one document and edit it. A lot of people have said, can I create it from this spot? Yeah, you could create one that you push to everyone. You could create a form from here. You could create a doc, but you can't create a template that you can reuse over and over again. You have to go out and create that in your Drive and pull it in. So that's the easiest way to do it. The part that I like about, and one of the reasons why I do it this way, is then when I am looking at them, I have the ability to come in, back out to wherever I house them, and I can watch these 2 projects and know where they are in session and actually see the difference between the 2. Students are going to come in and they're going to edit my copy of it, not theirs. They're not going to do their own, but I get to see the changes that would happen on that document. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's like a big kind of push the envelope kind of thing with Google. It's kind of a hack around that allows you to get more functionality out of Google Classroom. So I did the 2 things at once. I used the templates to differentiate, and then I used the colors. So the other one is in these documents. So when students are working in them, one of the things that if I was doing a collaborative slide presentation with my students, I might give them a document, a slide presentation where I made the template on the second slide, and then I allowed them, when they were in that second slide, I had them duplicate the slide, and then they could do their own information on the second slide. So on the third slide. So this one, directions are on slide 1. Slide 2 is the template that I want them to work from. And then they make a copy, so they duplicate it. They make a copy, and then they make their changes to this slide alone. This becomes theirs. Then once lots of students have done that, then I give them directions to go back in and to comment up and down the slides. So they would come in here and say, you know, like whatever the option is, there's really not anything in here. They could make a comment and say, love the idea. I love, you know, love number 1 idea, run with this. So that's an option. And then they might come to the next slide, which would also be a copy of that. And they could go up and down. So what you'll start to see is they'll start to see comments up and down the slides. So they can either comment one above and one below, or you can make them copy on 2 or 3 other people's slides, and you cannot have more. So if you have 6 kids in the class, there can't be any slide with more than 3. So everybody's going to get one done, right? Everybody's going to get comments. You could make them comment on everyone's slide. The comments get a little wonky because they start to run over on each other, but that's okay, because really want our students communicating back and forth. And you don't want things like awesome, great. We want to have constructive feedback. So how do you teach that process of what does it look like? Okay, so things like, I think this would be a good option because here's a resource that could help you. So they're really helping their peers along the way with whatever they're doing. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Trying to make sure questions. So allow all students to edit. I like the commenting above and below because I feel like that's a really good way to kind of appease them. You start them there and then they can kind of expand out later. All right, so customizing your class. So this is, I left this in here. This is really old school for those of you that used to use Google Classroom. You remember we used to have an About tab. I used to love the About tab. It's so gone. I loved it, right? It was nice to kind of put all your stuff in one little place. So I'm just going to write this in here because I think this is About equals, ooh, not, oh my God, you can tell it's Monday. Oh God, no, don't do that to yourself. About equals classwork materials, okay? So class word, wow, word to your mother. Class work materials. So about equals your classwork materials. So when I come back out into my classwork, right in here, I've created a material section. So this is where you can put your information here for your students. So you can see I have things like, I put resources in here. I have a contacts hour document in here. So when you come in here and I click on it, this is where my contact hours would be for my students as I was working with them. And the reason I like it like this is because it keeps all the data for your stuff, for your kid in that classroom in one place, instead of us kind of inundating parents with a lot of stuff. And like really inundating kids as well. So here's like the time you can keep this update. So if I change this to today, like 4/14, changed it to Tuesday. Oh my, how about Tuesday? So I'm available after 12:30 today. All right, so I'm all done with that. And I'm gonna close it. And then when I come back into it, you're gonna notice that's has updated. So I don't have to go find the document again within Google. I don't have to dig in my classroom folder. Matter of fact, if no one's ever told you this, don't play in your Google Classroom folder that sits in your Google Drive. That's bad, 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 bad humans. Don't do it. Because if you do, you'll break things. And if you break your mapping, you can't get it back. You have to literally recreate the class. I have lots of people, they're like, I'm just going to go in my classroom folder. And I'm like, stop. Because they'll go in there and they'll start moving stuff around. And that is really a way to break things pretty easily. So I just recommend you highly stay out of there. Just don't go in there. So that's the first one, your contact hours. But this I think is even more valuable, is a resource page. So whatever you're using with your kids, whatever kind of links you are throwing out here in your stream. So like this one, right? Or maybe this one, or maybe this, I don't care. Whatever you're sticking out here on the stream for your kids to see, that might be links for them to get to, like a resource or something fun. Go into your materials, create a resource page, and then pop it in here, because number one, then it starts to pull them all together into this document. Just like the other document I worked up, this updates in real time. So they're going to always have the latest and greatest. So if they can't find the link, they know it was a math link, they know it was in there somewhere, they know Embark was there somewhere, they just can't find it again. That's a way for them to get it, and that's going to be this natural updating that's going to happen on this document. Makes it much easier for them to find. Quite honestly, makes it easier for you to find too. So just create it with some headings. So what I did in here is I created some simple headings. So if you are a English teacher or social studies teacher, I put just the heading for it, and then I right here where it says normal text, I use heading 2. Because what it does is it gives me the ability to then have an outline that makes it much easier for me to use those pieces as I'm working with my students, so they can toggle back and forth between them. So this is a Google Doc, and I'm using the headings option, which if you don't normally see it, it sits here and it's called normal text. That gives me outline features. And those outline features allow me to jump in and out of my documents, kind of like it's like a bookmark on my page, and it kind of allows me to get in and out of things a little easier. Google Classroom trainings tend to not only, there are a lot of other things. Please clarify, you're updated right from the classwork folder. So I am updating right from within my classwork tab. Yes, that is exactly. So in here, I'm going into my classwork, and because I have labeled these documents as materials, that's their topic. So when I created them, I gave them the topic materials. I can update the resource page and it automatically pushes out the latest and greatest to kids. So I don't have to push them a new document. I don't have to make them a new document. I can keep all their resources in one place. It's a lot easier, okay? This is a good place to put rubrics. It's a good place to put grading scales. You can kind of actually put them all into a Google Classroom resource page and have them link off one document. I would tend to use less documents in here and have them link off. That would be more efficient for your students so they know everything's in one place. And try to keep it as organized as you can, because for those students that are not organized, this is like chaos for them. They don't get the concept, too much stuff coming at them at one time. And if that's not their forte, right? And quite honestly, if you work with middle schoolers, you know that it is not their forte. Okay. 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, not their forte. You have to teach organization. So this is a way to kind of teach them how to be organized. All right, I'm just watching my time, making sure where I am. Let's go to the next one. So we're done student collaboration. So talking about customizing classes. So we did these class materials. Let's talk about a quick header. So in here, you have a link to a classroom header. Some of you have already seen this. Others of you have not. So this is a really easy thing. You can make your own headers in Classroom. It's kind of just fun. I'm going to teach you the really quick process. So you create a text box. You throw it over the top, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with a color. So I am looking for my little, look right there, I lost it. I'm looking for my box. We're going to go purple today. Woo-hoo, purple today. And then I'm going to put some clip art in there. You can do whatever you want. You can make this as fancy as you want. You can make this not as fancy as you want, but I'm going to use my Bitmojis today, okay? Oh, there's a cute one. Copy my image. I'm just going to paste it in. So you can put in here whatever you want. You could put as much as you want, as little as you want. They are going to get darkened. I just want you to tell that, just to know that when you go into Google Classroom, headings get darkened. So just a little bit. So when you come in here, so the header, the link that's in there, Annie, I'm not positive. They will get darkened a little bit when they come in here. So that is a template. In the link is a template that you can use. So you can just run with that template. I just got to find where it went. I think it's right there. So I'm all set. The last part, the directions, by the way, are down here in the box. I file, download, and I download as a JPEG. It'll save in the correct size. I just call it what I want, Bond 2. Okay. So that's all I need. And then I can come into my classroom. And I can literally insert that into my classroom right here. I can upload a photo. This is a great way to be able to customize your classes to your kids. There's my Bond 2. It's going to upload. And so the only thing that I do is I pull this out. So I'm grabbing it as big as I can make it. And I set it as a class theme. There we go. So now, so it is darkened, as you can tell. It'll come back. Okay, so that's a really simple thing, kind of fun, easy. Don't have to use that. If you're a social studies teacher, you put your social studies content in there. Yeah, you know, all those fun things. You have pictures of your classroom. You feel like your kids really need to see it. Put your classroom in there. So custom headers are easy. 2 of these other pieces that I want to show you, these are extensions. I want to caution you before I show you these extensions. I am not saying that these 2 extensions are EdLaw 2D compliant. Please check with your DPO before you go and push these out. But these are 2 of the better ones that I have seen out there. So this is the first one. It is called Share to Classroom. I will show you what it looks like. So if I am out and about and I decide, oh, look at that. That looks helpful. Yeah, like no one would ever say that, right? And I say, hey, I want to share this to my classroom. I can click on right on my classroom link right there. So there's a little classroom extension. And it says, ooh, which class do you want to enroll it in? And I say, I'm going to put it in this one right here. I'm teaching this class. So I have it. It automatically basically opens me a like simple screen to create an assignment. So I can push it to my students. I can just push it to their Chromebook. So if they were in the classroom with me, this would push right to them. So if we were doing research and we were all researching, I could push it site right to my kids. See, that could be super valuable. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to use that right now. But the next one is I could create an assignment. So this looks very much like I've already done, right? So 414B today. Email summaries. I can put in my directions. There's the materials. I can push it in any way through, and I'm just going to push it as an assign. And when I go back out into that classroom, that's going to be posted in my classroom. So when I click view, it's going to show me what it looks like. So when I'm in, it's going to take me to classwork, and it's going to be right there, posted right there. Okay. So you can see that's the assignment email summaries. There's a thing that's actually in my part. So hopefully, does that make sense? It's a really simple extension to use. It gives you a lot of functionality because you can push right from the internet without having to grab the link and push it out later. Again, I'm not saying it's Ed Law 2D compliant, so please get it checked with your person. The other one is definitely going to be for later on in your life. So when we get back to school, a Google Tone. If you've never used Google Tone, that allows your classrooms that are in anyone with a Chromebook in your classroom. I can get to a website and I can turn on Google Tone. It'll do a ping, it'll go ping, and it pushes a site to your kids automatically. So those two things have two different functionalities. So you can see that Save to Google Classroom has a little bit of the functionality. So what I like about Google Tone is that kids can push back to you. They can only push back to you. They can't show you something. So if you have your kids,
I think we all did last night.
So if you have kids,
I'm on a workshop here.
Thank you. Okay. Somebody's mute just came off. I'm gonna stop sharing and get that back on real quick. There we go.
I took.
Perfect. So that's just one of the things. I think those are two really great tools out there that can be super helpful. Share to Google Classroom right now might be more valuable to most of us than Google Tone will be. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's just do some really quick best practices for remote learning, just so you have a few of them, and then I have some time for questions. The first one is like be present and transparent, and that's just really hard to do in this times because we know everything is changing, but create a teacher resource page with all of your contact information. That'll go in your classwork under materials. That's just going to be super helpful to you, super helpful to your students. And you may want to do it by week. So you may want to use the header section, the week of April 13th, and then put the next week on top, the week of April 20th, because it could change from week to week. You may decide I'm going to do a little different structure this week than I tried next week, because quite honestly, as we look through things and if things aren't working, you might want to try something new. And if there's anything that I could say to anybody right now, this is the perfect time to try something you've always wanted to try and never have had the opportunity to, because you're not getting scored on it, right? So if there's times you've ever wanted to do something and you haven't had the opportunity, this is a good time to do it. So try some new things. This is a good opportunity. So if you're doing recorded lessons, keep them short, under 10 minutes. And actually that's pretty long. The actual recommended is try to keep them under 5 minutes, because for students with bandwidth issues or data issues or downloading issues, the shorter the better. So even if you want to do a 40-minute lesson, it's better to do it in chunks. It's a little more work for you to stop and start and stop, and you feel like you lose your flow, but have a cup of coffee, have a drink of water, go to the next section, because quite honestly, it's going to be easier for the students to download that in the small pieces than it is in a great big chunk. I guess I was really into this resource page because I didn't just give it to you once, I told you to do it twice. So I guess you should do it. Due dates. I think that is one that's probably the biggest thing out there right now. Do not be hard and tried and true with your due dates. It's kind of impossible to do that because we don't know the situations that students are in. A lot of them are sharing documents, sharing devices, sharing Wi-Fi in a house. I don't know about your house, but sometimes when we have more than a couple in the building, it gets a little wonky and things slow down a lot. And I basically have kicked my husband out of the house from like 8 to 1 because that's when I'm doing video recording. And if he's here trying to use Wi-Fi, I'm like, just go upstairs and sleep or something. You can't even use TV because we use Roku. I'm like, sorry, dude, you can't right now. So we just have to be really careful of that because I think that's a real issue. And with students, some students are babysitting during the day, so they might be doing homework at night. So we do really need to keep those things in mind. This is a document that came from, it's actually a graphic from Zemke and Muteris. This is like, if you're going to try to do a mini lesson, this is just some really nice, some nice things to really keep in mind, welcome your kids when they walk in. Think of like when the kids hit the room in a Google Meet, take a couple minutes to just connect with them because it's going to be like meeting them at the classroom door, right? That's like, and some of you have noticed this, like when you walk in, I'm trying to say hi to you when you come in. I'm trying, just that's for mental well-being, right? We don't have a lot of this literally face-to-face communication. So any kind of communication we can do with our students is great. And we're stressed. They are too, in like a different way, and maybe in totally different ways. So whatever we can do to make that help. And also when you're doing skills, if you're teaching new skills with your students, really try to think through the process. Do they have all these pieces in place? They may not. So you may need to take some time and reteach a couple skills. And that's where having a schedule where they can like connect with you, maybe in a meet, and you can walk through something like present your screen to them back and forth. I use this way more. Most teachers thought even probably a month ago that going into an online training was going to be something that you would never do. Well, you're here, right? And most of us probably right now, as soon as I walked you through, would be able to share your screen with me. That is something you probably never thought you were ever going to be able to do again, or would have a need to. But you know what? You can all do it. You can do the same thing with kids, right? So have them explain what they're seeing, walk them through it, and then you can have the ability to have them, even with a student, to share their screen and to share back. I highly recommend it in a one-to-one environment with students until you get them used to it. So they're having the screen. If they can't do it, have them share their screen and you can walk them through it. And it's really valuable to them, so they're feeling successful. Same thing with parents. If they're not sure where to click, either make a video for them really quick using Screencast or even your phone or whatever app you're using. That'll just help them be much more comfortable. So when we think about best practices, we think about templates. That's going to allow you to push out to do that collaboration piece. So, and in a lot of cases, it's going to speed up the process. I'm going to back up to due dates for just a minute. Something just popped in my head. Due dates and like homework assignments. I read something on Twitter the other day. So typically, if you're working at home and you're assigning to students at home, the recommendation has been to give them half as much homework. And under these circumstances, like what they're calling pandemic, so that because no one has ever been in this kind of situation and it's affecting all echelons of society all the way through, they're saying to actually cut that again. So whatever homework you would typically give your students, basically give them a quarter. Okay, that's like mind-boggling, right? So if you were giving them 20 minutes, give them 5. So spread it out over time. Push those due dates out an extra week so they have more time. We're never going to change procrastinators. They're always going to be procrastinators. Your kids that need to get it done are going to get it done. So it'll be the kids that we have to chase that we probably always had to chase. That's not going to change. Okay, so here's the last thing. Build independence by students building their own. Give those clear directions. And then quite honestly, teach kids how to use that classroom calendar. I don't even go into this because I feel like most people know how to use it. So when I click up in the top here and I click on calendar, here's my assignments and when they're due. So you can see mine are color coded out by class. So that's just super helpful for the kids because they can come in when they use that classroom calendar. It pops them into what's due when. So that is it for my friends. Okay, so questions that you may have, feel free to unmute. I'm going to stay. I am going to send this out. I did a recording and the link is in the session. Please make sure that you've put your name into the sidebar chat so I can make sure that I give you credit if you haven't already done so. But if you don't have any questions, thanks everybody, and I'm glad you could come. I will stay here.
Virginia, I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
I can.
I just did a quiz in Google Classroom, and whatever I did, there was my quiz linked in there, and then the one that went to the Google form was blank. So I deleted the one that went to the Google form, but now it looks like my students have to save a copy, and then I told them to just put their name on that copy and share it with me.
So if you add the link into, if you open an assignment and then you put the classroom in, yeah, I guess I don't understand. I'm sorry. Say it one more time.
I made a quiz,
Yep.
and the form where they could submit that quiz was
Yep.
empty. It was an empty quiz. And then the quiz that I made as a link was there, but then they can't submit it through Google Classroom.
So they shouldn't ever have to submit it. So if I go in, let me open up, let me go back in here for just a second. I'm going to go back into Classroom. I'm right in there. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make a new assignment. If I create new, I may actually have to see it. I'm sorry. I know that's a pain.
No,
If I
it's okay.
create it here and I go into Forms, right? So if I create it here, it will save here. If
I didn't do that.
And it didn't.
Whatever I did, that's not the route I took. It was just through quiz. I don't know what happened on my side.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd
I'll
have
do
to
that
see
one
it.
more time slower and I'll just redo it.
Okay, yeah. So you can add, if you've already made it,
Yeah.
you can add it
Oh,
in
I did
here.
it.
Okay. And it should come in here. And it should give it to them the way they need it. If you added it as a link, it might not have. So never add a form as a link.
Okay.
That's what a lot of people do. Don't, because what you're doing, because typically what happens is when people add a form as a link, I love teachers, but sometimes they don't go to the right place. So don't take that the wrong way. I know you won't because you're just, I'm going to go forms. If I go into my forms, right, I have a gajillion, so I'm just trying to get to them. So this one right here, this is perfect. If I go into the form, what I find is most teachers try to share from here and they grab this address. So if I see tools up here, that's the wrong place to grab a form from. I want to grab my forms from here. Grab that link. So I find that most people are just grabbing it from the wrong place. But if I went the other way and just added it into my classroom, that's the better way to either add it in as a form or to go through and create it right there.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Not sure I really helped, but okay.
No, I get it. I do.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Virginia, can you email us the link to the
Absolutely
video?
will. Yep.
Thank you. You know, I like to watch them again.
All right. I gotta pop. I think I'm okay. I don't have to pop into that. Other questions? Did I just lose you guys? I don't think so. Right there. Where'd we go? Here we are. I'm gonna turn off the, I'm gonna stop recording.